anybody want to share, you don't even have to share your whole thing, but if there was any one overriding theme about how you want to feel, or if there's anything that you had an aha moment about. Yeah, exactly.
Well, I started with I want to be the best me now. I changed that to I want to accept the current me. And I catch myself a lot justifying what I do.
Can you say that again just for all of us one more time, please?
Accept the current me.
Yeah, except when you said I don't want to
justify myself all the time. I just ran my first half marathon in May, and it took me 3 hours. But if somebody says congratulations, I'm like, yeah, I was slow. Or how the marathon? I'm like, well, I walked it. Instead of saying I did it.
Yeah. That is awesome. I want to accept the current me now. Was that the statement? I love that. And that's something we all can work on, because the reason you guys are here is because we want to change or fix or improve something about ourselves. But there's so much to be said about just accepting where we are right now and all aspects of it, and appreciating how good we actually are doing. So awesome.
I said something to that nature of focusing. I want to recognize my strengths rather than focus on my weaknesses, because I'm constantly afraid if I don't focus on my weaknesses, I won't improve.
Right. So there's kind of a school of thought that says that we're actually better at strengthening our strengths than we are at trying to strengthen our weaknesses. So we can spend all day, I can spend all day trying to get rid of my obsessiveness. It's never going to happen. It might. I'm open to the possibility that it might. But realistically, there's a lot we can do to strengthen what we know we're already good at that will take us farther than just trying to pick up the slack on our weaknesses and maybe become average, but to focus on our strengths and take those to excellence and above average. And so, but either way, I think that's awesome. And just what you said about where we're putting our focus is so important, because that's where all of our energy goes. So that's awesome. All right, just because I don't want to go over time, we'll do the last one really quick, and I think it's a fun one. And then if you guys have any other takeaways at the end, we'll come back to that. So, okay, the last one, gratitude is what? How age old is that? But I think it's so important. Again, I think half of the battle is just showing up. So gratitude, I think, chases away our fears, because so often we're saying, oh, but what if something happens to my job? What if something happens to this? But do we ever take the time to say, there's a roof over my head, I live in a first world country, there's electricity in my house, all those things that we take for granted, I think when we start to appreciate those, it automatically lessens our fears. But another thing that I want to make a little bit of a distinction on is that I keep what I call an SOP list, which is signs of progress. And sometimes I call it a win list for my clients if they're trying to start a new program. They just want to recognize themselves for any little improvement they make. So whatever you want to call it, to me, I include everything. So I include gratitude, I include maybe a new person coming into my life that I meet, and I say, hey, that person was really awesome. Look at the synchronicity it took to bring somebody new here, and so there's always those synchronicities that I think we have to recognize. And I think, maybe it's just a little flash of intuition you had, and whether or not it played out doesn't matter. The fact that you're even open to receiving any kind of guidance from your higher self, I think, is a sign of progress. I think when I can look at the spring and say, hey, I went through this really emotional relationship situation, and yes, it was tough, and yes, I cried a lot, and yes, I still struggle with it, but I did so much better at accepting that it happened for why it happened, and I can understand the other person's point of view, and I can understand why it all happened, and I can trust that, it didn't work out, but that something that is more aligned with what I need is going to come my way. That is way better than I would have reacted even just a year or two ago. So I think taking time to recognize those things, it really builds our self-confidence to believe that we can handle everything that comes our way. But I think it also tunes us into more and more of those little things that are happening that say, hey, the universe has your back, or hey, you can put your faith in your job or in your financial situation and know that it is going to work out, because here's all these other pieces of evidence that say that it is. So So anyways, 10 things I want you to write down that are either something you're grateful for, something synchronistic that happened, a coincidence that brought a new person into your life that's maybe really been able to help you with your career or whatever it might be. Even, like, sometimes I even write down really vivid dreams I had as, like, a sign of progress in terms of, like, hey, I'm getting these, like, little beams of guidance or whatever it is. Whatever feels like a sign of progress to you, that's what I want you to write down. And if you're stuck, like, even just being here tonight is a huge sign of progress. You guys all showed up, and that's really important that you were here and you were showing up and you were willing to be open to things that are maybe uncomfortable to talk about or whatever it is. So 10 things, ready, go. Did anyone have anything really cool or special pop up that happened from recently? Maybe you reacted in a way that was what you would consider improvement on how you would have reacted to a situation. Yeah. I know you do. I know you do. Yeah.
Okay, I'll say one. This seems random, but like right at exactly the time my kids have these new Nutcracker rehearsals, and they're at this really early time. I have no idea how I'm going to get them there, and I sit in traffic all the time. The Birmingham Bridge opened!
Yay! It did! That was
like,
huge.
Exactly at the right time.
That's
like that cuts
awesome.
off 15 minutes
Yeah.
of commute time.
I always do one of those, like, if I'm running late and I get the green lights, I'm always like, thanks, angels, thanks, universe, you know? And inaudibly saying it, I mean, I work from home, so I talk to myself all day long, which is kind of weird, but in saying it out loud or writing it down, it reinforces, like, hey, this stuff really is happening, you know? And I've learned to kind of trust that if something isn't happening that I want, like, there might be a bigger picture there that I'm not able to see, so that's awesome. Any cool little things?
I sit in clinical often filling out paperwork, frustrated that I don't get experience that I need because I'm a visual hands-on learner.
Mm-hmm.
And I had a nurse, a military combat field medic nurse who took me under his wing this week and gave me a bunch of things that terrified me, a bunch of patients that terrified me, and put his trust in me and told me that I was going to do it and just stop doubting myself, and he pushed me and completely renewed my interest in my field. So I was so grateful for that.
Yeah.
Just completely, for the whole week, I was just floating on air. Just, yeah.
You know what I love about that story too? There's actually multiple signs of progress in there, because on the one you can list like your improved self-confidence is one. You can improve that this person came into your life that pushed you in the way you needed pushed. You can be grateful for the patients that were there that taught you the things you needed to learn. Like, there's so many aspects of how you can look at that to show that you are being taken care of. And on top of that, here's another one. The fact that you were saying that you wanted more experience and then that manifested is like, way to go you and your manifestation power. It's like, there's a lot there that, like, from so many different angles is really cool. I love that story. So. All right, just in the interest of time, we are actually done. You are all rock stars, and thank you for showing up. We have one little activity related to the lanterns left, but so here's what I'm going to do. I have those surveys that I gave you guys, so don't feel like you have to spend much time on it at all, but if you could fill those out, and then we'll go around the room and just say your biggest takeaway after you fill those out, and then we're gonna do something cool with the lanterns. And after you fill out your survey, if you could put them in this bag up here, and then I have some prizes that I'm gonna be picking winners. So maybe we could go around, and Michelle, if you wouldn't mind starting, maybe you could just give a quick, short, what was your biggest takeaway?
I think this is often the case in workshops like this, but it just reminds me that I'm not alone in what I'm feeling and what I'm going through. And you know, like I said, I'm a solo mom. I don't have a ton of friends. I don't have any family that lives here, and so I stay in my own silo a lot. And it's just a good reminder that there are real people out there that feel the same things that I do.
Absolutely, I completely agree. That's a big one for me too.
I put validating your fears don't make you weak. Like,
Yes.
it's sometimes better to just talk it out or put it right in front of your face instead of putting it aside.
What Nikki said about I'm enough, you know, remembering that we are so strong and there's not a weakness about it. It's just a weakness is a thought cloud, you know. Sora.
So I don't think this is exactly what you meant by that, but
There's no wrong answers here.
I
No.
mean, just wait till you get to my suggestions for improvement. Because it more pertains to me and something that I discovered, and I think some of my work anxiety is due to the fact that I guilt myself about not going to medical school.
Wow, that's a big one. And how much of that is your grandma talking?
No, it's all me.
Oh yeah?
All me.
So just the pressure for improvement of, you know, I'm not saying your grandma's actually telling you that, but I just know how she feels about further education. So
But
yeah, interesting. So maybe some regret mixed with, I mean, we all have something in our lives that there's stuff, even with Beachbody, I can look back on my first year and say, oh, I wish I would have done more with that when I had more time or when I, you know, and we put that layer of guilt on for not doing enough, and because we have to recognize that we did what we could at the time. That's a big one.
never do that. I think I'm happy where I am, but the fact that I think those fears, if I was a physician, that I wouldn't have that, which isn't true either, but I think that's where that comes from.
And then what Christy was saying about always liking to be challenged, but yet there's some pressures with your job that you may not like, but yet if you weren't doing what you were doing, it's the grass is always greener thing, of course. There's always stuff to appreciate with where we are, and there's always stuff that we think you might have hated medical school. I mean, look at Tara. And
I
how
would
well
have
she
hated,
does it.
I would have hated my life.
Yeah,
But in this regard, I think
Yeah.
that's where that comes from.
yeah.
I'm just making that decision not to go.
And there's nothing to justify or not justify about it, but that's a huge thought about what now is playing out from decisions that relating to medical school. That's awesome. Sam.
So biggest thing for me was to take the time to do the sort of structured introspective exercises that are like super key.
Yes.
I did a lot of this kind of stuff in college, like even teaching, you know, week-long sort of, you know, camps and stuff related to self-improvement. And now I'm however old, I'm not even doing it myself, right? Like I know better.
Yeah.
And lately I've been struggling a lot with like, what are my goals, right? And instead of like doing something like this where I lay it out, you know, I just sit around thinking like, what do I want to do?
Right.
Like,
Right.
just,
Like that's doing, yeah.
yeah, and my thoughts are like swirling down a toilet instead of like just like making progress.
Yeah.
You know,
And I think putting a pen to paper, there's so much to be said for that, because even if it's something that I'm trying to talk myself through, or like I have examples here. Literally, this was when this binder came out of when I was miserable at work, and I would print out articles online that I thought were beneficial, but there are lists I have here of like literally those kind of questions. What are my goals?
Yeah.
And then brainstorming, you know, not judging what comes out, but just listing those things. And I have so many lists in here, but I can see the common patterns. And they were all things related to like charity or wanting to help people or health-oriented stuff. And that's exactly what Beachbody is. And synchronistically came out of that. But it takes the dedication of being willing to sit down, even if it's just for 5 minutes, and put the pen to paper. So that's awesome.
Yeah.
Perfect
So
reminder.
thank you for inviting me today.
You're welcome. I'm so glad you guys are able to come. It's a synchronicity.
So good. Thank
For
you
me,
coming.
it is like a synchronicity for me that you guys were able to come and that you needed this. And even what you said in your message, I'm like, oh, divine intervention, obviously, right? Nikki, what was your biggest takeaway?
Mine was the of course if it feels different then it is different, but Mine was the point of sale. No, what was it? What's yours? That you did? The point of what's your POS? Oh, I'm
That's
sorry.
like sign of progress.
Signs of progress.
Did you say point of sale?
POS. I was like, point POS. It's gotta be POS.
Well, it's funny because SOP used to mean standard operating
Right,
procedure
right.
in my job, so.
Signs of progress. Yeah, because
Yeah.
I know them in my heart, and sometimes I'll journal them, or tell you, or say something, or tell Sean or whatever. But like actually writing them down, and it's different than gratitude, because gratitude is like, for me, it's like I've done so much gratitude work that it's like yeah, okay, I'm grateful for that, but like the POS. I screwed it up now.
Whatever it is, whatever it wants to
SOP
be, yeah.
is more of like almost an unemotional thing. Gratitude is all emotional, right?
Yeah.
And like the list is like literally just what happened. It's
Mhm.
not emotional. So I found that to be really
Yeah, because it is. It's an inventory of where we've improved, but also how the universe has our back and all those different things. So some of it is kind of happening outside of ourselves. When the message happens, and then people show up, and then we meet new people, and all those different things. That it's just, it is gratitude in some sense of appreciating that those things happen. But like you said,
yes, it's
it's
separate.
different.
Yeah,
It
it's
is separate.
different, and it's hugely valuable.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Awesome. Abby?
So, I'm happy to say that I'm like in a place where I'm not living with a ton of fear these days. I'm not operating from a fear place. Yeah, it's a humongous change. So what I really love, what I do have is a lot of anxiety, and I can't sleep at night. So I really loved the squirrel example, because it's so true. Like, the shit gets done anyway, whether you worry about it or not. And so just reminding myself that that's a possibility, that it is a possibility to go through life and get shit done and like not have an anxiety attack.
It's
So,
like I look at it, I think another way to look at it too is, what are the things in your life that you do without worrying about it? Like, you still eat breakfast. I still typically on most days get my workout in. I didn't have to worry to do that. It's just more like unemotional planning, So there's a lot of ways to look at it. But kudos to you, huge sign of progress for recognizing. I think even just taking the time to recognize how far you've come and how much progress you've made is awesome too. But yeah, it's a cool example. I heard that maybe a year and a half or 2 years ago, and I can quote the story word for word because it's stuck. It's such a perfect visual of what's really going on.
It is. It's like I totally like see the squirrel with
yeah.
Like happy-go-lucky,
He's
right?
like as happy as can be.
Yeah. Nikki, what was yours?
I think so like whenever you said that like your fear might be serving you in some way. So like for my wedding, I have some like distant cousins. One's a first cousin, then they're like second cousins, but they're all like millionaires. The one girl's a former model, and they tend to be like very judgmental, and they put really high standards on me. And I kept feeling like I was going to be judged because even though I've lost weight, like I'm not a size like 00, and I felt like I was going to be judged because even though like my company's doing better, like I'm not on the cover of Inc. or Fortune 500 become a Fortune 5000 company. And it occurred to me when you said that the fears serve you in some way, that like it serves me like I'm not as high as 00 because like Gabe loves to take me out to eat, and that's actually a blessing. So it's actually like made the process slower, and I'm actually not like a millionaire yet. Sometimes because like I have wonderful friends who have events and want me to go out and hang out with them, and I have a social life, and I do things instead of working 12 hours a day. And it made me realize that it's made the process longer to both like to like feel where I want to feel with my body, and then also to get my business where it wants it to. But I'm very blessed in both cases that the process is delayed and it is taking longer. It's a much richer and fuller experience.
Absolutely.
So, it made me make peace with it. So thank you.
Oh, good. I'm so glad. And I think you use the phrase that it might be a much slower process, and maybe it is with certain areas. But I would be willing to bet you're a lot happier than they are. Because people that judge are judging themselves all day long. If people have to project that, they're not happy with themselves. Guaranteed. So in certain tit for tat categories, you might not be farther along, but I'd say in the category of life, you're doing awesome because you are, you have so much going on, you have so much going for you, and you're appreciating those things, and you're happy about it, and that's, to me, that's the biggest measure of success, is if you can feel joy. That's living. Amen.
Yeah.
And I can totally relate because my whole summer I was off track in my nutrition, my digestive system paid dearly, but we had a lot of fun stuff going on. Sometimes that's the price you pay, so whatever. Christy.
Okay, so I really like the part about our perception is our reality, because I think that helps me go through my everyday life without judging others. It helps me have more positivity for myself, but closer to home, it helps me with my kids, because I find myself constantly trying to talk them out of their perception, because I don't want them to hurt. I don't want them to feel certain ways, so I'm always trying, but maybe they just need me to listen. And just let them feel what they feel and just kind of understand. So.
Brene Brown talked about that a lot recently on the Super Soul Sunday about kids. She said families who can do difficult, who can do uncomfortable, like have a huge advantage, because kids that can like feel that. I do this thing. You want to like pull them out. You're like, don't even worry about that. No, it like you're sad. Like, it's okay to be sad. Like, it sucks. Like, I feel sad now, too. I'm going to cry because you're upset. But, like, so that sucks for me. Like, it's painful for me. So we don't want to feel that pain. So we want to bring them out of their pain because we don't want to feel that pain either.
Right.
We're all involved. So it's like, okay, I'm sad because you're sad. And you know what? Sad's okay. Like, it's okay to be sad. And, like, one day you're not going to be sad about this anymore. I don't know.
Yeah. No.
You know, if that
it's just a fact
helps.
of life. Yeah.
Gives you permission to, like, not try and, like, save them all the time, even though it's hard. So then you have to do your own work, and it's like really inconvenient. Like your whole life is like inconvenient. Like it's so hard. Like it's so painful. The whole thing is painful. So.
But I don't have kids, and I mean, what are we doing here today? I'm trying to like pull you guys up, and it's just our instinct to want to see other people be happy, and so where we see sometimes it's easier to see from a third party perspective than it is for our own selves. So yeah, awesome. Meredith?
Yeah. I mean, I just love the progress over perfection too. So many good reminders, and I put a lot of pressure on myself sometimes to just be perfect in so many areas of my life, in work, in business, in relationships, and also a sense of urgency too. I feel a lot about life that I'm not getting enough done, and I'm not making enough of an impact, and I'm not traveling to all these places I want to go to, and just you can drive yourself crazy. So just stepping back, getting present, I think more than anything, is just such a key to happiness and success in life, and giving yourself a break too, and loving yourself where you're at. So.
It's true. How much pressure is there on us these days? And I would say most of it is self-induced, because even the pressure that other people are putting on us, we have a choice whether we want to accept that or not. So in some respect, we can say that all the pressure is us, right? So, which is cool because we have a chance to put that into perspective too. So my biggest takeaway from tonight, I mean, thank you guys so much for coming, because I loved hearing what you guys had to say and what you had to share, and I say this to all my clients all the time, but I truly learn as much from you guys as you guys set out when you were coming here to learn from me. So I think all of our stories and all of our experiences have taught us so much. And so for me, like, the biggest takeaway I would say is just the feeling that it feels like to have strong, empowered women come together and to share stories and to be open and to come with that open heart. Because I think so often it is easy to focus on the people that are kind of shut down in life, and there's nothing wrong with being there. They're all on their own journey. But it makes me feel good to recognize that there are really authentic connections in life, that most of you guys have never even met each other, and you can be that open and vulnerable, and I just think that's awesome. I really feel like that's where our world is moving towards, and that gives me a whole lot of hope and good feelings. And so thank you guys all so much for coming, and thank you for trusting me, and thank you for coming with open hearts and souls. And so basically what I want you to do, come drop your paper in here, and then we have multicolored lanterns. I want you to take one. There's enough for two for everybody. So if you feel like you got stuff to release for other people, take it. And then also while you're up here, I've got markers and stuff. So I think we'll be able to, take them marker from Football Forever. Sorry, I didn't realize those were open. Thanks, Michelle. I think we'll be able to write on those. So open it, and if there's like a strong intention that you want to set and put up into the universe, just write it on there. Or if there's a fear that you've been struggling with or something that's been holding you back and that you want to release, write that. If you want to take two and put an intention on one and a fear on the other, do that. Whatever you feel called to do. And then if you could just drop your surveys in here and I'll pick some prizes while you guys are doing that. And don't let me leave here without taking the matches and the lighter, because we need those. Because I could see us getting over there and being like, oops.
I meant to bring a lighter.
No
They're way bigger than I thought. So I was thinking they'd be like little guys.
Oh no, they're good. Fire hazard. You know?